All right, shalom, shalom.
Shalom.
Just a second to check the feed. Make sure everything's good. All right, all right, shalom. Brother
Shalom.
Rick Millstone, Charlotte, coming back with another Lord willing, edifying lesson to feed the elect of the nation of Israel. And before we get started with this lesson, we want to give all honor, praise, and glory to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Rachahakodash. Double honors to our apostles and elders of Great Millstone that taught us this truth and that rule well. And peace and salutation to the elect that's out here laboring in all truth and sincerity. To you, we say shalom.
Shalom.
All right. So just through the spirit, we want to, hop on this whole situation dealing with this term black fatigue. Because what we're seeing is a lot of Edomites beginning to voice their true opinions, as we've been seeing since Trump been back in office, of how they truly feel about you so-called Black, Latino, Native Americans. All right, now speaking on so-called Negro, the tribe of Judah, but it's the sentiment that Esau feels about all you tribes, man. All right, and we're gonna play the video real quick, and we're gonna go in.
Black fatigue is real. I think society as a whole is there. We are just so unbelievably fed up with the ghetto ratchet behavior, entitlement, the victimhood. This is why people have black fatigue.
You have the mitigated gall to let these words come out your mouth when the whole world is suffering from white fatigue. We've been white fatigued since the 17th century, since millions of Africans were transported across the ocean to the Americas and subjected to brutal slavery. The separations of family, being treated as property and being denied basic human rights. Fast forward to the late 19th, mid 20th century, we saw systematic denial of rights and opportunities. Incorporate Jim Crow laws that were enacted to force racial segregation. Fast forward to the 21st century, civil rights era. Systematic racism and discrimination continues to impact the Black communities. These inequalities are evidenced in things such as the criminal justice system, housing, and economic opportunities. So have a seat, close your mouth, and be quiet. We have been subjugated to white fatigue for over 400 plus years.
All right, now I want to speak on this video first before we play the other one, because as you heard the Edomite say in the beginning, okay, Esau is tired of the ghetto ratchetness, all right, the nigga shit, the stuff that we see, on our average every day, all right, the world star hip hop, culture and all that, okay, because Jake, all right, has been, pretty much looked at as the main problem of what's wrong with the earth, man. Okay. And what we're seeing Esau Edom, beginning to do is backpedal off of the white guilt that they had during the time of President Biden's administration. Because what we saw during his time was, Esau apologizing for all the wicked things that was done to Jake, during the beginning stages of America. Okay. And so now what we're seeing is these statues that Esau's been putting up with these damn, fat ass black women all over the country. All right. They had put, the different holidays for Jake, the whole Juneteenth situation that happened a couple years ago where they made a big deal about that. All right. The constant complaining about the BLM and different things. Esau's fed up with that now, man. Okay. The time of Esau feeling guilty for you, Jake's, problems and everything is coming to an end. All right.
Yep.
If y'all got some, go ahead. If not, grab Job 10, 20 and 10. But if you have a point or precept, y'all got it.
I just wanted to add right quick, because with all of the stuff that we seeing happen, with this mass exposure, Esau is being made bare, and it's uncomfortable for his descendants to have to bear the burdens of their foreparents. You see, so when they talk about fatigue, and realization is just the exposure, that light that's being put on them to where they can't escape it any longer, you know? And can I get this real quick?
You got it.
It's real fast. Isaiah chapter 25 and verse 7, as we bring out often, and he will destroy in this mountain the face of the covering cast over all people, and the veil that is spread over all nations. And we know that mountains go into government, right? The hegemony of Edom is being put on full display. Now we understand, according to the book of Revelations, the 20th chapter, that when this devil was loose for a little season, he will go out to deceive the nations. Deception has been a big part of his power, a big part of his ability to go and control the people, right? So now that deception, that veil is being removed, we're seeing everything that he's done, and it makes him feel like he's a victim, right? But really what it is just the truth being made manifest. And he doesn't like that.
Exactly. Because the whole world is becoming aware that this man is the problem. All right. And so like you're saying, all right, that covering cast over the world has been taken off, and everybody is starting to put the pieces together on who's to blame. But as Esau has always done, okay, it's easy to shift the blame to niggas, because we always say niggas are a problem, but they're not the problem. All right. Because the whole concept of Black culture and the way that our people act, that was a concept that was created by the so-called white man. All right. He made niggas. Niggas is nothing more than a science experiment that was pretty much perfected. All right.
Man, that's a fact. It's crazy because, people, they'll say that on the internet. They'll be like, man, the CIA, they went crazy with this one. Because they know there's a level of involvement when it comes to the degradation of Blacks, Hispanic, so-called Black, so-called Hispanic, so-called Native Americans, the tribes, right? There is an agenda aimed toward our people to break us down. So, like you said, Priest, we're the culture that our people forward themselves in, as wicked as it is. Hey, that was really taught by them, by the devil.
Exactly. I got a quick one. This is Lamentations chapter 2, and where we at? 15. It says, all that pass by clap their hands at thee, they hiss and wag their they hiss and wag their head at the daughter of Jerusalem, saying, is this the city that men call the perfection of beauty, the joy of the whole earth? All thine enemies have opened their mouth against thee. They hiss and gnash the teeth. They say, we have swallowed her up. Certainly this is the day that we look for. We have found, we have seen it, right? Because Esau, Edom, all right, like I said, they perfected pretty much, destroying Jake. All right. That's been the mindset of what they, were doing since they brought Jake over here, man. The mockery, the degradation, the pretty much the whole sentiment of destroying the image of the so-called Black, Latino, Native American, man. All right. This is why when you look at, early, American consumerism, a lot of it was based around the mockery of Jake, the Uncle Ben, Aunt Jemima, look at Colgate's original design, all that. And that was just showing you like niggas are nothing more than jigaboo monkeys that entertainers. And as we, went through the process of time, Jake has pretty much, embraced the shucking and jiving to the point to where Jake will openly, destroy themselves in public, for a little, clap. But Jake, has had their image broken down so bad to where now that you having our people coming back to the remembrance of who we are as being the true biblical Hebrew Israelites, all right, these devils refuse to accept that as a reality, because all that they know you is just thugs, niggas, and whores. All right.
Yep.
Yeah, you look at the so-called Black man, all they're known for is being a hoodlum. The women, they're just nothing but the whores. All you see them do is just walk around half naked twerking. There's no way that these niggas could be the true children of Israel. This is why, like I said, it was a disgrace when Esau was talking about, you know, things like putting Harriet Tubman on the $20 bill, all right, and you put in, you know, so-called blacks in prominent positions, why certain Edomites have to, you know, bow themselves under subjugation to them, man. You know, Esau hates shit like this, man. So, like I said, now you're seeing Esau do things like put these statues up with a so-called black woman over there. They're not voicing their opinion. Like you heard the woman say, they're tired of the ghetto nigga shit. She said in so many words, man. You know, but as you saw the other half of the video, when you actually get into the whole meaning of what black fatigue actually meant, it has nothing to do with what she was talking about, man. And we're gonna get into that in a second. But the way that she was able to flip that, and multiple Edomites shared that video because they shared in the same thought pattern that they had, or that she had, until she realized that that's not what that meant. And then now she caught a lot of flack, and she deleted the video, the original video. You know, but you already know the internet, they clip it and they run with it, so she has to wear that. But like I said, they're not ashamed of voicing this now, man. Because Trump is making this environment a healthy one for these Edomites to truly voice their opinions about how they feel about you niggas, man. All right. Can we grab that Job real quick? Job 20 and 10.
This is the book of Job, chapter 20, and verse 10. It reads, "His children shall seek to please the poor, and his hands shall restore their goods."
And this is why, you know, like I said, during Biden's time, Esau was pretty much in that bow down spirit, trying to cater and you know, play to the emotions of Jake, man. Okay, there was, you know, it was a term back then called a white guilt, to where they were ashamed of what their ancestors have done unto, you know, so-called Negro Latino Native Americans. But now we're at a point to where Trump is telling Esau, the Edomites, to embrace this, because this is your history and there's nothing to be ashamed of, because this is what you wanted to, this is what we did, man. This is what we wanted to do to be able to get to the position that we are. So as we're seeing the new influx of videos from guys like Matt Walsh, now seeing this, Esau is no longer ashamed to tell you Jakes how they truly feel, man. All right.
Keep going.
That was a point for that one. Because like I said, you putting these statues up of Keisha. Esau was mad whenever he took down his statues of his you know, civil rights, not civil rights, like Civil War leaders. All right, they banned the Confederate flag, but now that Edomite spirit is coming back up with a vengeance, man. All right, so yeah, Esau don't want to hear about the 400 years of oppression. You know, they don't want to hear about, you know, paying reparations and all that, because they're not ashamed anymore, man. All right, so I want to play this other video, because this is going to go into the actual meaning of what black fatigue actually means, but also give a sentiment of how the world is truly looking at you devils too, man, before we continue on.
White people attempting to rebrand white rage by co-opting the term black fatigue as though it's a phenomenon they actually experienced but only recently found the language to talk about is both dystopianly weird and tragically on brand. The copying, the whitewashing, the centering themselves by playing victim. But what's ironically telling about it is that the concept of racial battle fatigue is not new. It's been around for decades. And the term black fatigue has been used by Black people for quite a while. Mary Frances Winters wrote a book that came out in 2020 titled Black Fatigue, and it describes the mental, emotional, and physical exhaustion that Black people experience because of systemic racism. Now, notice how Black people didn't call that white fatigue, because the purpose is not to assign blame in order to justify bad behavior. It is called Black fatigue because it is a harm that Black people experience, and so their focus is on addressing and combating that harm. Whereas when white people talk about experiencing Black fatigue, they are not talking about a harm that they experience because of Black people or anybody else. They are literally telling on their own inability to live in society with Black people. And that's not new either. That's a pathology that has existed for hundreds of years, but call it what it is, white rage.
All right, so we can dissect that. Both have any, you know, points, precepts that come to mind? Y'all got it?
No, absolutely. She said, This is a pathology that has been going on for hundreds of years. But we know through the Holy Spirit that this is a disdain that these devils have had for thousands of years, right? Going all the way back to our forefather Jacob and the Edomites' forefather Esau, right?
Mm-hmm.
This is Genesis chapter Salakia.
27.
Yeah, chapter 27 and
Say probably like 25. I want to say.
No, it's a little bit further down.
Um.
Oh, I got it right here. Genesis 27 and verse 41. And Esau hated Jacob because of the blessing wherewith his father blessed him. And Esau said in his heart, the days of mourning for my father are at hand. Then will I slay my brother Jacob. Right. So that perpetual hatred, as the scriptures speak about, has continued through the lineage of Esau's descendants to this very day. Right. That clash between the tribes of Israel and the tribes of Edom, that hatred between one another has always been perpetual. Right. And like you had said, priest, that white guilt that these Edomites have felt, over time, they're done with that. They're ready to really stand 10 toes behind what it is that they feel,
Because like you was explaining, it's turning from guilt to rage. Because like I said, they're not ashamed anymore, man. All right. Because all the things that the Jake in the first video brought out, he was echoing what she said, but he was just giving the examples of why Jake, created that term black fatigue, because of all the atrocities that we had to endure being here in Babylon the Great. Could you get Zechariah 11:5 and somebody else hold Psalm 73, and we're going to read verses 3 through 9.
I'll get Psalm 73.
It's Zechariah 11:5. Whose possessors slay them and hold themselves not guilty. And they that sell them say, blessed be the Lord, for I am rich, and their own shepherds pity them not.
Right. And that's the pride that these devils, embody when they talk about, the hardships and oppression that our people had to go through, because they felt that to get to where they were, or to get to where they are today, everything that they'd done unto the so-called Black, Latino, Native Americans was justified. All right. They called it manifest destiny. They called it, colonization. Whatever terms they use to bring this, they showed it to be, justifiable. So therefore, they don't want to hear you, Jakes, continually complain about what was done to them. They don't want to hear about what you feel like is owed to you because of what your ancestors went through. That's why when Jake, will make, terms like we need reparations, we're like, yo, you niggas ain't currently, experiencing slavery. So why do you need reparations for something that hasn't happened to you or your family, in this lifetime, man? Because Esau is fed up. They don't care about that shit, man. They don't look at what happened, all right, as a crime, let alone a crime against humanity, man.
Yep. Well, was there more on that, brother?
That was on that.
Okay. Psalms chapter 73 and verse 3. It says, for I was envious at the foolish when I saw the prosperity of the wicked.
And that's the way our people look at Esau in this society. All right, because they're envious at the fact that Esau, Edom, is able to live comfortably in this kingdom, not thinking about the fact that this is his kingdom, so therefore he's going to be able to do as he wishes here, man. Okay, and part of that, that black fatigue is understanding that, look, we had to endure, discrimination, redlining, all right, the KKK coming into your house, coming to your house, burning crosses and on your lawn and harassing you, and one lie could pretty much kill your whole family, as we saw, incidents like Rosewood and Black Wall Street and whatnot, So the fact that Esau was able to prosper and still is, and Jake is having a struggle to even try to stay afloat. Our people, that's why it's easy for them to sell out. they'll swallow their pride, you know, and you know, shuck and drive for Esau just so they can be on what they view as evil footing with them, man. That's why the scriptures talk about, you know, why trimmest thy ways to seek love, because Jacob is envious of Esau, man. They want what they got, man. Okay.
Right. Yeah, I can read this real quick. This is an excerpt out of the book White Rage, right? And they're talking about in this section in particular post Civil War, right? So it reads, one official sanctioned or stationed in the now defeated South noted, wherever I go, the street, the shop, the house, or the steamboat, I hear the people talk in such a way as to indicate that they are yet unable to conceive of the Negro as possessing any rights at all. You know, so these thought patterns are still exist today. You know, people have just been conditioned into the what's the word? The covert racism, right?
Yep.
That's what Esau is. You know, he's got Jake, you know, conditioned into being niggas, but he's also conditioned his own people, right, to hide their racism in the backgrounds, man, right? They to keep it in the house, right? Keep it between them and their conversations, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
On verse 4, it says, "For there are no bands in their death, but their strength is firm.
Mm-hmm.
They are not in trouble as other men, neither are they plagued like other men."
Right, and this is why Esau can break the very laws that he persecutes Jake to the extent for, because in their eyes, they are not doing anything wrong. You know, they can commit the same exact crime that Jake does, but you know, either get a fair sentence or even get let off, because once again, this is their kingdom. All right. When you make the laws, you can break them. You know, Jake, you don't get that same luxury. This is why you have to come to the realization that you're not playing the same game as Esau, man. All right. He has rigged the rules to where you're never gonna ever even attempt to be able on the same level playing field with him, because even when you get close, he's always gonna remind you that you're just another nigga. All right. He's gonna always give you that humbling card to show you that you're a nigga, you're a slave, and I'm the master, man. Okay. And he's tired of y'all complaining about that, man. All right.
Yep. I mean, I read this in the
No, I was gonna say real quick. That's why, you know, the whole you know, BLM thing came to a head like that, because here it is, Jake is in the street marching about the police injustice that's being done to them, and Esau looking at that like, how dare you niggas speak up? You know? How dare y'all even think that y'all are even okay to say this? That's why as soon as you started, you know, doing that movement, they countered so quickly with Blue Lives Matter, all White Lives Matter, all lives matter, because Esau doesn't want to hear you complain, man. All right.
Yep.
That's the same. That woman that we showed, you already know she was in that on that same boat. Fuck is these kids complaining for me? I'm tired of hearing this shit, man. All right.
Hey, just to finish, I just wanted to finish that excerpt I was reading, because it went into exactly what you brought the precept out. It says, he further explained how murder, rape, and robbery in this world were not seen as crimes at all, so as long as the whites were the perpetrators and the blacks the victims. You know, so that's the scripture itself, man. Right? They're not in trouble as other men. They'll never be in trouble as other men in this world. You know, and that's why they see, you know, that power is being brought back into these everyday Edomites, man, because the elites have always, you know, manifested that thought. But now these people are getting more and more pride, more and more comfortable, you know, with voicing their opinions, man.
Right, because the ones that, you know, had that feeling like you just read, Esau views Jake as property. That's the same mindset that the Edomites had when they wrote the Constitution. So when they said all men created equal, Jake wasn't, you know, written in that, because Jake was looked at as 2/3 of a person. And he just even talking about, you know, Gad, the so-called Native Americans, you were viewed as savages. You weren't even considered people. So the fact that, like you said, Jake is you know, building up confidence to where they can even approach Esau with the guard and say, like, look, we're equal. These Edomites they're sick of that, man, because they're seeing that Jake is prospering more than them. Jake is pretty much being hired for better jobs than them. They have to pretty much these higher higher up Edomites. They're having to share spaces with these niggas. They don't like that shit, man, because all these Edomites, going back to what Tazawam read in Genesis 27, they have that perpetual hatred with you tribes, man. So they think that they're over you when truly they're inferior to you, man. But in this kingdom, they have been bred to be inferior to you, because what it was really was, you go back to the Civil War, okay? The Southern Edomites, they had that superior mindset to where they thought that there's no way a nigga could be on the same level as me. But the northern Edomites, they still had that feeling, but they were smarter with it, because they was like, look, we can trick these niggas into thinking that they're on the evil playing field, but we can get them to do more for us if we quote unquote free them. It was a mind fuck. But now, the mind fuck has gone to the point to where now you got Jacob selling more than Esau, man. Now they're mad. They're jealous, man. You got it up.
I wanted to read this right quick in the NLT. Psalm 73 and verse 3. It says, "For I envied the proud when I saw them prosper despite their wickedness. They seem to live such painless lives. Their bodies are so healthy and strong. They don't have troubles like other people. They're not plagued with problems like everyone else." And, just adding on to the point that brothers are saying, our people, they trim their ways to seek love and try to, assimilate themselves into society to try and be like these people. But it's not saying that you're going to be able to be like them, right? Because ultimately, no matter how much you try to go off, you're never going to prosper in this kingdom to that degree. This is a rigged kingdom to where the hegemony of Edom is going to only let you get so far as a slave. You see, because when brothers talk about the transference of property, right, the emancipation, right, and how we went from property of the slaves, or property of the slave owners, to property of the state, right? It's a game it's the exact same format as it was on the plantation, right? But now, as we see, we have the truth. Now there's a elevated sense of scrutiny on this devil that he can't endure, right? Which is furthering, like the brother priest have made, that shame going into rage. You see? So as we see, man, these devils, all of the things that they do, they may seem to live painless lives, right? They may not seem to be in trouble, but the wicked does not go unpunished, man.
Right. That's right. Let's keep going.
In that Psalms?
Yeah, we'll go down to verse 9.
Okay. Psalms chapter 73 and verse 6, back in the KJV. "Therefore pride compasseth them about as a chain. Violence covereth them as a garment."
Right, and this is what Quantum was reading earlier, dealing with that white rage, because Esau, all right, because he knows that he conquered, Jake. He still feels like even right now that he can do whatever he wants with Jake. That's why you have certain. I was watching the video earlier. That's why you have things like Sundown Town still available. Right, you have certain parts of America where Jake isn't welcome. All right, and that's because Esau Edom, in his spirit, still believes that he's over Jake, man. They just don't have the power to really enact it like they want. But we're getting to a point to where, as we see their kingdom falling, they are seeing, okay, all this money they put in, in Jake's pocket, okay, the welfare, which really Esau gets that more, but of course Jake is the scapegoat, but the welfare, the whole thing with the DEI and everything. They look at niggas as the reason why their country is failing. And so this is why we're at the point now to where that rage is about to lash out and become physical, man. All right. That woman was projecting the sentiment of how Esau truly feels before they really start putting action behind words, man.
Yeah. If I can add to that too, Priest, just real quick, a lot of these Edomites that are having the most, hatred videos coming out are ones who were so-called allies or on the front lines. Those that were doing the the virtue signaling, during all these different protests and things of that nature, right? To try to put themselves, in that good light, right? Like we read in that Job. So now we're seeing them, they're tired of it, man. That fatigue, right? They're like, we're not caping for you niggas no more, man. Right? We're not wasting our time, right? When we should be trying to, climb the ladder, right, in this kingdom.
Right. Dude, look, I could kill a nigga and get away with it. Why am I still trying to cape for these niggas, man? They're still property. You just right now they look at Jake entitled property. They want their power back now, man.
Yep. That's it. This is Psalms chapter 73 and verse 6. In the latter, it says, "Violence covereth them as a garment."
Mm-hmm. That's
Verse
why
7.
they were able to do, things such as Rosewood, Black Wall Street, the Devil's Punch Bowl, amongst all the other atrocities that, Esau is known for since being over here in America, man. This is why, all right? Because they're able to, because this is their kingdom, man.
Yep. Verse 7. Their eyes stand out with fatness. They have more than the heart could wish.
Mm-hmm.
They are corrupt and speak wickedly concerning oppression. They speak lawfully.
Right, and this is why you're seeing that talking point of Esau without saying it, telling Jake to shut the fuck up. We're tired of hearing about y'all and y'all problems. We're tired of hearing about what happened to y'all in slavery. We're tired of hearing about how you had to struggle and all this. Shut the fuck up. Pull yourself up by your bootstraps. Y'all are able to do the same thing the racism and all that's no longer a thing. We all have equal opportunity now. Just shut up. This is the statement that is being made, because here it is. As we see, you have the freedom to do these things. What are you doing with your freedom? You're making a complete fool out of yourself. This is why I said you go on the internet. You see Jake acting like a complete asshole, man. Like I said, these bitches is twerking everywhere, man. Niggas is robbing, killing each other. All right, they're scared. They're scaring the white people, because like I said, the freedom that they have been afforded. Look what they're doing, man. Jake is being the product that Esau has created, and they perfected it, man. All right, the YNs and the YNBs. That's who she's complaining about, man. Because this is a generation. This is the generation that is actually acting out the true spirit of a chocolate Edomite, man. Because what we're seeing these niggas doing, this is exactly what Esau, his spirit, he does, man. All right, but Jake is just more known for it because Esau through his media paints that picture as niggas, man. Okay.
All right.
We can actually drop that now. Grab Proverbs 12 and 26 and Isaiah 51 and 20.
May I get a quick precept?
You got to go ahead.
Because you had made a point, saying how these Edomites are pretty much saying like, oh, y'all are responsible for the nation falling, and, to a degree, that's true, because ultimately what we see that's happening is that there's a controversy in the land concerning the Lord's people, man, right? Mm-hmm. And the Lord is preparing to bring judgment on this nation. Mm-hmm. This is Isaiah chapter 34 and verse 8. For it is the day of Yahweh's vengeance and the year of recompenses for the controversy of Zion. Okay, so we understand that judgment is going to come, right, for the controversy of Zion, but there's going to be events that take place before that inevitable destruction.
That's right.
You see? So it's going to be a continual fall from here on out. It's not going to be this idea of make America great again. There's not going to be this idea of the white sovereignty rising back up from the ashes and taking the reins as the dominant people in the country. That shit, it's a false hope. Verse 9, it says, and the streams thereof shall be turned into pitch, and the dust thereof into brimstone, and the land thereof shall become burning pitch. Speaking of the nuclear destruction, you see, because ultimately that's the end all be all that's written for Babylon. We understand, right? And they can see, they can feel it. You know, they can feel their kingdom slipping from their grasp. That's why they're in this spirit in these days, because they're like, man, we about to lose everything.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it sucks for you, but this is this is what you created, though, man. This was a system that eventually was going to turn upon its own head, you know. And you can't victim blame Jake into the reason being why this is happening, because look, scriptures talk about, you know, you reap what you sow. All right, all these things are coming back upon your own head now, because this is the byproduct of when you do wickedness, man. Like I said earlier, yeah, Jake is a problem, but he's not the problem. Because yeah, you know, you got, you know, niggas walking around with their ass out, you know, selling drugs, shooting each other in the street, but they're not the one, like I was talking about earlier, issuing out fucking tariffs to these different countries, which is fucking up the economy. They're not the ones, you know, alienating themselves from their allies. All right, they're not the ones, you know, going overseas and pretty much, you know, trying to be the big bad bully of the whole world. No, these are all Edomite problems, man. Jake isn't, you know, responsible for these things, man. You know, when you look at all the things, the major issues going wrong in the world, it's a red face behind it, man. It's not a nigga. All right.
Yep.
You want that Proverbs?
Bible Shah.
Proverbs 12:26. It reads, "The righteous is more excellent than his neighbor, but the way of the wicked seduceth him."
Right. Because like I said earlier, man, here it is. You see Jake acting the plumb fool. Jake is merely doing the things that you tell him to do. Okay. Jake, when you see Jake on Instagram or World Star or whatever, these niggas are doing what you promoted for him to do through your media, your music, your movies or whatnot. You're the one that told Jake the fucking you know, the sell drugs, all right, to pimp out his women, all right, to be a demon, all right. You told Jake to do this, man, and now that Jake is doing it on a high scale like this, now you want to say that he's the problem in the earth. No, man. You put this out here. You created the image for Jake to pretty much, you know, do these things, man. All right.
Right. It's like we say, you know, focusing on the fruit of it instead of the root.
That's it.
Esau is the root cause of what we see that's occurring amongst the tribes of Israel.
Mm-hmm.
From the head tribe Judah on down. So as we see, you know, all of this flack toward Israel, hey, we got to point the finger back at the source of the problem. You know,
the wicked. He's gonna try to gaslight you, right? He's gonna gaslight the whole nation, right? I mean, Jake is responsible to a degree, but like you said, the one who, you know, is putting the battery in Jake's back, right, are these Edomites, man.
But yeah, that was it on that. Let's get that Isaiah 51:20.
I got it. It's Isaiah chapter 51 and verse 20. It reads, "Thy sons have fainted. They lie at the head of all the streets as a wild bull in a net. They are full of the fury of Yahweh, the rebuke of thy power."
Right. And why is that, you know, a thing now, man? Because you go back to, like I said, the beginning, you know, of Jake really beginning to branch themselves out. We had, you know, these black, I messed that word up, the black movies like, you know, Boys in the Hood. Yeah, how you say it again?
Blaxploitation.
Blaxploitation. Yeah, you had these movies, like I said, Boys in the Hood, South Central, Juice. All right, like I said, the gangster movies. You had then the music. Okay, these were the beginnings of the image that Esau cultivated for Jake to want to be. All right, instead of, you know, you see like, you know, Jake wanting to be, you know, the blue collar worker that want to, you know, go to school. All right, be a lawyer, doctor, whatever. No, Jake wanted to be a rapper. Jake wanted to be a thug. He wanted to be an athlete, you know. But like I said, that thug and that whore mentality really through the coercion of hip hop was the main thing that made niggas like this now. Okay, because like it's a video you can go on YouTube and find. I forgot to do. I think his name was Crank Lucas, but he do like beats and like parodies of like songs or whatever. And he did like a generational transition of how Jake used to rap back then to now, and it's pretty much Jake used to rap about conscious life, then transition into selling drugs, the NWA spirit, and then now we're at a point to where Jake is a junkie. So you went from selling the drugs to doing the drugs. Now you just a straight up Satanist, man. These things are like this because Esau made you to be like this, man. This is his fault. But then, like I said, he wants to gaslight Jake into making it seem like he's a problem. But you gotta look at the source, like Tasman said earlier. You're looking at the fruit. You gotta look at the root of the problem, man. It all goes back to Esau because you make Jake to be like this, man. This is why you see niggas completely out of order and wild like this, man. This is why you can't go to a restaurant and not see bitches on top of the table twerking with their ass cheeks out, man. This is why you walking around and you see it's fucking 80, 90 degrees outside. You see a goddamn YN and a goddamn black bubble jacket and a fucking shiesty mask, man, on a bike. This is why, because this is the perfect creation that you fucking devils made for our people to be, man. Our people it says a wild bull in the net, because what happens when you try to you put a wild bull in the net, man? He's gonna go crazy. And that's what you see niggas doing, because niggas are trying to survive out here, man. All right, and the only way they know how to, all right, is what they've seen, and that's just to be a demon, man. Rob, steal, kill, which is the same tenet that Esau has done, man. All right.
Yep. You are your father, the devil.
I was about to grab that spirit. You said that. I'll read it real quick. Let me break it down. This is St. John chapter 8, verse 44. Ye are of your father the devil, and the lust of your father you will do. He was a murderer from the beginning, and abode not in the truth, because there is no truth in him.
Right. And this also, you go ahead, bro.
It says, when he speaketh a lie, he speaketh of his own, for he is a liar and the father of it.
Mm-hmm. Right. And these are the tenets that our people, the wicked of our people, have taken on. Right. They've completely taken on that mindset of the devil. Right. Esau, Edom. Right. And they carry themselves in this fashion. Right. Not upholding the ways of the Lord, not walking uprightly. Right. But as we're discussing, we understand the wickedness of our people and we call it out directly. Right. But a child is taught by the parent. Right. The tenets that they learn, it's a reflection of the one that raised them in that fashion, right? So as we'll continue to point out, right, though we understand the wickedness of our people as we see them carrying out day to day, we can't absolve these Edomites from their part in this quote unquote black fatigue, right? It's self-induced.
Okay.
That's it. They said it's self-induced, man. You can't be mad at the product you created. That's like, this is a terrible example, but just using that. This is like what you see with the modern NBA, for example. All right, basketball is intolerable to watch at this point because all these niggas do is shoot threes. But this is what you created. All right, a league of no defense and just straight offense, because when you took away, the hand checking and everything else, you make it to where players can't really defend. And so now you see just niggas coming down the court, chucking up threes, and everybody's complaining there's no defense because nobody cares about that. All they want to do is literally just shoot threes all day. But this equating this to what we see as a whole with the world, niggas are only doing what they seen as you promoted for them to get by with. So you can't be mad at the product, man.
Yep. I had a quick precept if I can.
You got it.
This is Jeremiah chapter 5 verse 28. They are waxing fat, they shine. Yeah, they overpass the deeds of the wicked. They judge not the cause of the fatherless. Yet they prosper, and the right hand of the needy do they not judge. Right? So again, tying in how our people have pretty much, taken on the tenets of these devils, right? And they pretty much perfected these tenets because that's what Jake do. Whatever Jake puts their mind to, they're gonna excel at, right? Whether it's good or bad, right? Unfortunately, our people have cleaved unto the darkness, right? And they're just completely going Luke Skywalker going all the way to Darth Vader. Like, damn, this nigga is just great. You say it again?
Yeah, Anakin Skywalker. That's Vader.
Anakin Skywalker, the water, right? They pretty much gone to the dark side, you know, and they're still cold in the sense of their ability to achieve greatness, right? But it's no good in wickedness, right? The deeds that they're carrying themselves in, these things that they're doing, it's not just, it's not who they truly are, right? So this, again, circling back to the topic of discussion, this fatigue that we're seeing is really a direct causation of not allowing Israel to be who they are, right?
Exactly.
But forcing on them these wicked ways and philosophies so that you can be the power hungry nation that Esau is, man.
Yeah.
You know, because ultimately what we know it ties back to is the fact that Esau wants to, these nations have to maintain their power by keeping Israel at a low state. You know, if I could grab that as well.
You got it.
Jeremiah chapter 50 and verse 7. All that found them have devoured them, and their adversaries said, we offend not, because they have sinned against Yahweh, the habitation of justice, even Yahweh, the hope of their fathers. Right? So you continually oppress our people by depriving them of that spiritual connection to our power. Right? So all of the problems that you see that are coming about from our people, you know, is directly tied to you forwarding all of this darkness in front of them, man. You know?
Because I want to get this off the comment board real quick. So GMS Tazadak Da Ban Yahweh 144K, Sirach 1922, just off what you just said, bro. The knowledge of wickedness is not wisdom, neither at any time the counsel of sinners prudence. Because like you was making mention, all right, hey, Jake is great in everything that we do, but Esau knows that in order to keep his kingdom thriving, all right, and keep his influence strong, as we read earlier, all right, he had to seduce Jake, all right, with the knowledge of wickedness so that they can promote his agenda, which is sin, man, which is wickedness and sin. So Jake doesn't understand that, yo, if you applied your powers for good, you know, like you hear in the superhero movies, you can do great things. You can change the world, which we will do, Lord willing. We're of the elect when the Lord Yahweh returns and then gives us the power to enact the righteousness that we're practicing right now. But Jake doesn't look at that. Jake looks at righteousness as a weakness, to be honest, because in this society that's frowned upon. So if you do wicked, you win. Like they have that saying, you know, you ain't winning if you ain't sinning. Okay, but at the end of the day, we understand the true knowledge. It comes from the appliance of righteousness, man. The ways of Yahweh Hashem Yahweh being upheld and pushed. Okay, and that's the problem with this world. This is why, you know, shifting to the other side of the lesson. All right, Esau is trying to victim blame Jake, but really what it is the world is tired of his ass, man. As you're seeing, everything is falling apart because everybody is starting to realize that the Edomites are the problem. Starting with the head tribe Amalek, all the world is starting to zero in on this devil, man. Okay, so real quick, let's get Isaiah 24 and 4, and then Psalm 82 and 5. I'm gonna read this real quick. This is from the prayer of Azariah, verse 9. It says, "And thou didst deliver us into the hands of lawless enemies, most hateful forsakers of God, to an unjust king, and the most wicked in all the world." All right, and that's who is running the world right now, man. The most wicked, lawless, hateful forsaker of the Most High. Okay, this man is an unjust ruler because everything that he does and promotes is a giant middle finger to Yahweh Hashem Yahweh Shai, man. And because he is doing that, the world is suffering. Okay, like I quoted, what was that camp? You know, the Most High is nowhere in this man's thoughts, man. and everything that Yahweh Bashim Yahushua consecrated as being good, he does a deliberate effort to do the exact opposite, which is why the scriptures refer to him as Satan, which that word Satan, Shaitan, means to be adverse. He's adverse to righteousness, he's adverse to life, and now all this is catching up to him, man. Okay? And so now everybody is starting to call him out. Now this is why you see him starting to speak up. But like I said, his version of speaking up is shifting the blame to niggas.
Right.
But like I said, Jake is not the problem. They're a byproduct of what you made. Okay? Verse 10.
Yep.
Oh, you gonna say something? Go ahead.
No, I was gonna say it makes you think about Cain, right?
Come on.
That inability to be, you know, held accountable for your actions, you know, and trying to shift off that to elsewhere, you know.
Deflecting responsibility.
That's it.
Yep.
It starts with the head. You know, verse 10. And now we cannot open our mouths. We are become a shame and a reproach to thy servants and to them that worship thee. All right. And that's how, you know, Jake is looked at, man. Okay. As a shame and a reproach. But the moment that you try to cry out and speak against what's being done on earth, now you're labeled a problem. So here it is. The prophets, all right, the true believers are crying out about the thing that's being done, the wickedness that's being done on earth. And we're the ones being called out for the bullshit. But like I said, our videos get struck for us talking about, you know, the wickedness that these elites are doing, the child sacrifice, the Satan worship, you know, the idols that's being pushed. But then you got rap music still on YouTube. I have yet to see a rap video get a goddamn strike, man. All right. But these same rappers are given license to strike our videos if we use it. You know, I remember I think it was last year or 2 years ago, it was this rapper, this bitch ass nigga named Pac-Man Dev made that song about how he was selling fake pills to his people and they was dying. We used that video. That nigga gave me a copyright strike for calling that wickedness out, man. But like I said, we're the problem. Let these people tell you, man. All right, because we're in the kingdom where righteousness is spoken evil of, man. All right. So from there we can get to Isaiah 24.
You got it?
No, you go ahead, bro.
So Isaiah 24:4. The earth mourneth and fadeth away. The world languisheth and fadeth away. The haughty people of the earth do languish.
Because this is what we're seeing taking place now, man. All right. The earth is mourning and fading away because of the people that's in power. All right. Death is the new pastime in the world, man. All right. You ain't living a good life unless you're practicing some type of demoralizing, debilitating, you know, practice, man. All right. If you're not doing something that's killing you, then you're looked at as something's wrong with you, man. All right. And the world is suffering because of that. Because here it is, this devil is giving reign over the world. All right. He's destroying the earth. He's destroying the people. He's destroying the animals. This is why the earth, it needs new management, man. All right. There's no reason why you should be seeing animals beaching themselves. There's no reason why you should see people, you know, suicidal. You know, you walk out in the goddamn you walk outside and you have to get an alert on your phone about how the air quality is bad. This is the byproduct of the wicked being in rulership, man.
I went to Dick's Sporting Goods the other day. Them niggas had oxygen cans. I said, God damn.
That's crazy.
Hey, but if I add to that, please. But just to add to that, like I said, the haughty people of the earth do languish. That's what, you know, this pride, right? The people being in a great state of pride, right, before the Lord's coming and this coming destruction is prophecy, man. You know, so they have to be in this pride. They have to be lifted up, right, in their minds and their hearts, right, to be like that woman that was speaking, right, on the black fatigue, right? They have to be thinking like this because she's languishing right now, right? She's looking at her whole world falling apart, and she's trying to, pick and point, where to blame, right? And her only, recourse, right, as an Edomite, is to blame Jake.
Yep. It's like it's really like, I don't know if Taza will remember this, but Scooby Doo. When they would get caught, it was like I would have got away with it if you weren't for you meddling kids. That's how Esau's looking at Jake right now, man.
Right. We done pulled the mask off and he's standing there tied up in the chair.
Long nose and everything.
You keep going to verse 5.
Got that. Isaiah 24:5. The earth also is defiled under the inhabitants thereof, because they have transgressed the laws, changed the ordinance, broken the everlasting covenant.
Mm-hmm. And that's the rule that we're speaking about, man. These are the elites. So if anybody that you Joe Sixpack, commoner ass Edomites, and whoever else got a problem that want to sit here and victim blame, your attention should be to the elites, because they're the ones that has fucked this world up, man. They're the ones that took your kingdom, and made you a slave within your own kingdom. You're mad at the wrong people. Okay? Because through Esau, all right, putting the Bible to the side and bringing forth his own ways, all right, this is why the earth is like this. This is why we're in a society where depression is at an all-time high. Everybody's on goddamn psych meds. Everybody has plastic in their system. Cancer and all these different diseases are at an all-time high. This is why. You can't tell what season we're in. All right, this is why everybody's sick. We can go on and on and on. All the problems stem from the people in the rulership seat, man. Sirach, the 10th chapter. Okay. The world is being ruled by an unjust king, man. All because he refuses to use the Bible the way it's supposed to. But the wicked is not going to do that, man, because he can't comprehend the scriptures. I got it.
Do you want that Psalm?
Yeah, Psalm 82 and 5.
This is Psalm chapter 82, verse 5. It says, "They know not, neither will they understand. They walk on in darkness. All the foundations of the earth are out of course."
Right. Read it in the NLT, Baba Gosha.
Okay.
They'll give it more in detail.
Okay. This is Psalm chapter 82, verse 5 in the NLT. It reads, "But these oppressors know nothing.
Yep.
They are so ignorant. They wander about in darkness while the whole world is shaken to the core."
Yeah, and who's the oppressor? Like we just read in the prayer of Azariah, man. All right, the most unruly king, hateful forsaker of the Most High, the most wickedest man in the whole earth. He is ignorant of the fact that Yahweh Hashem Yahweh's ways are needed in the earth. All right, the more and more the world strayed away from the Most High and His ways, the more and more destructive and wicked the world has become. All right, and this is why Yahweh Shai is needed to come back, because like the scripture said, if he didn't speed the days up, there would be no flesh to be saved, because this man will literally kill everybody. This is why you're hearing him talk about, going to Mars and these different countries, because they know that if they were to rule, they only have so many years left on Earth before it becomes uninhabitable, man. It'll be just like you watch that movie Wall-E or After Earth with Will Smith, man. This place will become a big ass trash planet that nobody can live on, man.
Right. These niggas would be, if they were to even do that shit, going to a different planet, these niggas would literally just create an interplanetary oppression.
Right.
Come on, man.
These niggas would literally be equivalent to the what's the Sith? They would just be going through the universe, just fucking shit up. Just like, yo, this devil had the ability to take back the birthright. Him having this kingdom really just shows why he never deserved it to begin with.
That's exactly why. That's exactly why.
That movie, Elysium, right? Where they
Yep.
had the elites were up in space, and they had all the commoners and the slaves down still on the earth, fighting it out for scraps, man.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
This is why at the end of the day, all you stupid coon niggas that's trying to cake for your slave master, you're a retard. You don't even understand what you're trying to save this man for, man. He doesn't give a damn about you or the earth. He don't even give a damn about his own people. You think he care about a nigga?
Yeah. Was it he that is evil to himself?
Can't do good, man.
He do good, man. All right, that's
it's impossible for him to do good, bro. So I got like two more. We can end it if I have nothing else. Get Romans 8, 19 through 22, and then Revelation 11 to 18. Because like I said, we're at a point now to where the earth and everything in it is beginning to show that it needs new management, and it's fighting back. You know, like we went into a camp, man. All right, you see everything. We read earlier in Isaiah 24. Everything is groaning, it's crying out. All right, you see life is at an all-time low. The sons of God are needed in the earth, man. All right.
It's Romans chapter 8 and verse 19. It reads, "For the earnest expectation of the creature waiteth for the manifestation of the sons of the Most High."
Right. That's why it feels like everything's on edge. You walk outside. No, you really gotta go outside. You wake up and you could just feel like it's a pressure on you. It's like, man, something gotta change. Even on your off days when you ain't got shit to do, you still you bogged down by bills. It's like your body is fatigued because all the wear and tear that you done put on it. You eat, you're never hungry. You know, you walk outside, like I said, you feel the depression from the animals. You feel the vibration on the earth is low, man. Yeah. Because everything is waiting for the manifestation of the sons of God, man, which is the elect, to wake up and come back into that position of power where we can set everything in the right place it needs to be in.
Verse 20. "For the creature was made subject to vanity, not willingly, but by reason of him who has subjected the same in hope." Because the creature itself also shall be devoured from the bond, delivered, because the creature itself also shall be delivered from the bondage of corruption into the glorious liberty of the children of the Most High.
Right. So, like Atazamam had said earlier, Esau Edom was put in this position, all right, to prove that this is why Yahweh Hashem Yahushua's ways are needed. This is what happens in a world void of righteousness, man. This is what happened when you let the wicked rule. All right. So the Lord allowed us to be put here in this captivity to show us wickedness on an all-time high. So when we get the kingdom of heaven, all right, we'll be righteous judges. So we'll be, full of the knowledge of good and evil. All right. So we'll be able to enact true righteous judgment, man. All right. Go ahead.
Romans 8 and 22. "For we know that the whole creation groaneth and travaileth in pain together until now."
Right. So because of what we did and how we fucked up, going all the way back to Adam, all the world is suffering because of our mistake. And that's the problem that we have with 2/3 of our own nation, because 2/3 fail to realize that, look, all these things are going to continue to happen until Israel gets back into the into righteousness, man. Until Israel repents and comes back unto Yahweh Hashem Yahushua in spirit and truth, the world is going to continue to suffer on our behalf, man. But we understand that all Israel is not going to come back, which is why the Lord, told us the prophecy in Zechariah 13, 8 and 9 about how 2/3 going to go. 2/3 going to have a problem with the things that we just spoke about in the earth, man. Your mind is focused on minuscule things, man. All right. You got niggas in 2025 still trying to get in the rap game after they already heard on how you have to go through niggas like Diddy and Birdman and get your asshole fucking ripped open and sell out. So this shit it tells you where Jacob's mind. We're looking at rulership. Okay. We're gonna bring the earth back to the prominent state it was supposed to be in when you read about the Garden of Eden in Genesis, man. Okay, like I said, that should be your mindset, and if it's not, then 9 times out of 10, you're not a member of the elect, man. Okay.
And like you said, Priest, it's heavy. Jake don't understand. It's like you said, we're the reason why the earth is in the condition that it's in right now, man. Right? Our disobedience right? And that's why brothers have that heavy spirit on them, you know, from time to time, right? That borderline on depression, right? Because we know why we're in this case, man, right? We know what to do, you know, what we're responsible for doing, you know, in serving the Lord. But it's like you're always in that state of mournfulness, you know, because of this, because we know, you know, why we're watching the world in the position that it's in, man.
Kyle, I got a precept for you.
Mm-hmm.
This is 2nd Ezra chapter 7, verse 10. And I said, it is so, Lord. Then said he unto me, even so also is Israel's portion, because for their sakes I made the world. And when Adam transgressed my statutes, then was decreed that now is done. Then were the entrances of this world made narrow, full of sorrow and travail. They are but few and evil, full of perils and very painful.
Mm-hmm. Right. So through Adam's disobedience, man, right? It started that downward spiral, right? From us being those sons of God to us being, you know, like the scriptures talk about, you shall die like one of the princes, man. You know. So it's sobering, you know, to understand that. But they can't get their head around the fact that, you know, their actions, right, are put them in the same state of responsibility, you know.
Yeah, it's a direct correlation
Right.
to
That's what.
what you see the world is now versus what we did. Okay, I got one more. I'm gonna jump down to verse 46. It says 2nd Ezra 7:46. I answered then and said, this is my first and last saying, that it had been better not to have given the earth unto Adam, or else when it was given him, to have restrained him from sinning. For what profit is it for man now in this present life to live in heaviness, and after death to look for punishment? You know, to just add to what you were saying, because we understanding our fall after what happened with Adam, and then adding on to that, what happened when King Solomon fell, that both played a very integral part of why we see Israel in the state that we're in today. So, like Edris was saying, it was better for the Most High just to have made us perfect back then. But it's sobering, like you said, when you understand the Lord did all that to teach us a lesson to why we need the Lord's law, statute, commandments. Because if we would have just he would have gave us to the kingdom and made us perfect from the beginning, it wouldn't be appreciated like it's going to be appreciated when we finally get it the second time, man. Well, yeah, the second time.
Right.
Verse 48. But thou, Adam, what hast thou done? For though it was thou that sinned, thou art not fallen alone, but we all come of thee. All right, and I want to make mention of that, because what was the reason Adam fell? Because his rib Eve was tempted by who? The serpent, the spirit of the wicked, which was now, all right, is back in the earth today, and the people we know now as the Edomites, the so-called white man. So from the very beginning, he has always been the problem. All right. And now that root has been identified, now we are calling that thing out, so that when we get the power seat, we know exactly what to do to get the world back to where it needs to be at, man. Okay. Verse 49, and then hold real quick, Wisdom of Solomon 2, the last verse. Verse 49, it says, for what profit is it unto us if there be promised us an immortal time, whereas we have done the works that bring death? You know, and that's the question that you, Jake, should have in your mind now. What's the point of you doing everything that you're doing if you know that your actions are going to eventually bring you death, man? Because like it says in Psalms 82 and 6, it says that we are all gods, but we shall die like the princes. All right, we are a great people. There's no denying that. We are the salt of the earth. We make the world go around and give it flavor. But none of that means anything if we're perpetuating a death culture in the earth, because all the heathen, all the world moves off the vibration of the Israelites, man. There's no denying that, man. All right. But as we know, through the influence, like we read earlier, through the influence of the wicked, this is why we now die, because you still have influences of Esau, Edom in our mindset now. Even us in this truth, as we continue to labor, we're constantly fighting wicked thoughts that were placed in us in a society that Esau engineered to make you wicked, man, to make you go off, man. Okay, because a mere thought gives you sin. Okay, because the scriptures tell you a foolish thought is even sin, man. So the fact that you may even think some crazy shit, which it's a demon, but the fact that you think it, you already then went off to the Lord, man. This is why we need deliverance, man.
All right. You say you wanted Wisdom of Solomon 2?
2, the last verse.
Okay.
It talks about through death, through the envy of the devil, death in the world.
Okay. Wisdom of Solomon chapter 2, verse 24 says, nevertheless, through envy of the devil came death into the world, and they that do hold of his side do find it.
Flocky, go up one verse, and we're gonna go into
that. Wisdom of Solomon 2 and 23. For the Most High created man to be immortal, and made him to be an image of his own eternity.
Right. It says man to be immortal. All right. The angels created man to be immortal. Not every man. The Israelites are the sons of God. We were the ones created to be immortal. All right. And through us being on the earth, we were supposed to pretty much bring the image of the heavens into the earth, because we are the physical embodiment of Yahweh B'Shem Yahushua. And you Israelite men and women, all right, you are the physical temple that the Lord put here on earth, man. We don't need a building. It's us. It's our bodies, man. We are the temple of the Most High, and we're supposed to show forth the glory of the Lord in our walk, man, as we walk in righteousness, man. You know? Go ahead.
Verse 24. Nevertheless, through envy of the devil came death into the world. And they that do hold.
Oh, sorry. Read over.
And they that do hold of his side do find it.
Right. So through the enviness of the devil, this is why death is in the world. And because, like I said, Esau has conditioned Jake to be wicked. You know, the brother put the precept I quoted earlier, Proverbs 24:9. The thought of foolishness is sin, and the scorner is an abomination to men. So the fact that we battle wicked thoughts to this day is why nobody can ever sit there and say they keep the law perfect, man. All right. We all sin every day, man. Okay. And that's all thanks to the influence of the devil, the so-called white man, because this society makes you go off, man. It's a constant fight to be righteous, man. You know, which is why we're suffering from the fall of Adam. All right, from the fall of King Solomon. But the Lord gave us grace to continually get back up and strive to make it right again, man. All right. So understanding that, all right, we just have to endure, all right, what this world is doing to us until the Lord, you know, comes and removes the problem, which is this devil, man. All right. So we can get that Revelation 11 and 18, unless y'all have nothing else.
You said 11 and 18?
Yeah.
Okay. It says, Revelation 11 and 18, it says, and the nations were angry, and thy wrath is come in the time of the dead, that they should be judged, and that thou shouldest give reward unto thy servants the prophets, and to the saints, and to them that fear thy name, small and great, and shouldest destroy them which destroy the earth.
Right, because like I said earlier, the world is beginning to rise up against the wicked, because all right, not only you have Jake waking up and calling out this man, you're starting to see all the other heathen. They're beginning to take notice that this devil is the problem as well. So the Lord is going to put the spirit, as we're seeing, on these different heathen to come against Babylon and Israel. All right, and this is what's going to, you know, bring forth the World War III to pretty much end Esau's hegemony in the earth, man. And then when Yahushua returns, all right, he's going to physically remove this cancer, all right, from the earth. All right, starting, you know, with taking him out the power seat. All right, then we're going to put him in slavery along with other nations for 1,000 years. And then once that 1,000 years is over, all right, we're going to allow the heathen to go back to the lands, but still be tributaries unto us. But the Edomite himself is going to be taken all the way out the earth, man. All right, he's going to be removed, because the earth will not know true peace until the Edomite, the very last Edomite is eradicated, man. You read about that in Obadiah 1 and 18, man. All right, this is where the world is at, man. All right, you can't blame niggas for the problem in the earth, man. All right, you devils are the problem, okay? And everybody is seeing that. So you can victim blame all you want. You could shift the blame, whatever. Everybody is still pointing out their finger back at you. All right, and Yahweh Shem Yahushua is going to soon, all right, bring this to a head when Yahweh cracks them clouds, man. All right.
Sure.
You got anything else?
La.
Kind of say, Lord willing, this lesson was edifying. We're going to go ahead and wrap it up. All right. So with that, we want to give all honor, praise, and glory to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Racha HaKodash. Double honors to our apostles and elders of Great Millstone that taught us this truth and that rule well. And peace and salutation to the elect. Until next time, we say shalom.
Shalom.
Shalom.